So this is a story, Sea Witch is a story about some kids who, as a family, they do a bit of sailing. Have you ever sailed?
Yes.
Has anyone ever sailed?
Yes.
You have? You have? On a boat like this with sails? That's all right.
Oh, wait, no, I haven't.
Okay. Because if you had, you would have some idea of what they go through. But if you're not used to sailing and it's not something that you can use your own experience for, then we'll have to do a bit of looking at the vocab, and we might have to look a bit more intently at the meaning, because it's something quite special, sailing. And the way the story is set, you'll understand the story, but it would help if you had sort of an idea about what it feels on the water. That's why I've put this diagram in here, because in the story they refer to parts of the ship. So before we even do that, we might go through these. They talk about the mooring line. Moor means to hold it still so it doesn't float off. So it can either be fastened to a buoy, which is a floating ball out in the harbour, which is anchored, or the mooring line can be attached to something on the wharf that will stop it floating away. So they talk about the mainsail, so that's the big sail. This is the boom, and you would have possibly seen it on movies. It swings. So if the sailors want to catch the wind to change direction, they loosen the ropes here, and this swings over, and the air fills the sail, and then they go in a different direction. So we might even talk about that a bit later. But I think mostly they talk about the mooring line, so you need to know that that's tying it to a fixed place. And of course, you know, the mast and the mainsail is the big one. So those are the main things to know. So if we have a look at the back and we have a look at the blurb, fortunately it doesn't tell us too much. It tells us that the kids are in trouble and that they're lost at sea. So with the blurb, they're trying to get us to read the book. They're trying to make it sound interesting without telling us how it ends. So let's have a look. Sea Witch. Sea Witch is the name of the boat. Story by Mike Lefroy and illustrations by Liz Alger. Now if you open up at the contents page, it's a 6-chapter story, and they don't give us too much information. So they don't give the story away, which is very nice. They just use very simple chapter titles. We've got 6 chapters: Collision, Adrift, Out to Sea, A Special Request, Sea Rescue, and Night Surfer. So let's have a look to see how it begins. Chapter 1 is called Collision. So this is where, as in all narratives, our characters are introduced and the setting is established. So I'll ask you, after you've finished reading, who the characters are, how they're related to each other, and where they are, where the story is set at the beginning. So read to yourself pages 4 and 5. And turn the book over when you've finished. So who are our characters? characters?
Christy and Jeremy.
And, because we've got one character who's also, you can turn over and have a look. We've had one character who's very briefly introduced at the very beginning, and then that character disappears.
Their mother?
Their mother. So how is that character introduced and how does she disappear?
She's the first person to say a line.
Yes, and why does she disappear?
Because she stays in the island.
Yes, how do you know that? So,
Because she's telling them instructions. Yeah. How they go on the boat. And then Chrissy says we won't.
so where are the kids?
Still
The
in the
kids
island.
are on, kids are where?
They're on the boat.
The kids are on the boat. What are the clues that tell us the kids are on the boat? Okay?
Well, Chrissy
Isha, you've got some evidence there. What's the evidence for that?
well, Kiwi wants it because she's throwing the bowline to her mother.
So she's throwing the bowline to her
And she
mother.
has to go to the boat.
Yeah. And the next sentence would tell you too.
Twin brother Jeremy joined her on the deck.
Yeah, so the kids are standing on the deck of the boat, and here's the bowline. So she's throwing the bowline to her mother. Her mother, how's her mother disappearing? Her mother's going off. How?
Actually, they're going off, and she's staying in the land, so she's going off the story.
How is her mother disappearing? How is their mother disappearing? Look at the second paragraph in the story, it tells you.
They watch the little dinghy move to the shoreline.
So a dinghy's what? What's a dinghy?
The boat.
Little boat. So a dinghy is a little boat, but you often see it tied to the back of the bigger boats. So her mother is going off in the distance in the dinghy, and the kids are still on the boat. Now, what you've mentioned the island. Tell me about the island.
Maybe they sailed there from the mainland, and they've been on the island for a week, and it's their last day.
So their last day, and what are they doing? Their last day before they do what?
Oh, and you go to high school.
So that gives you a clue about how old the kids are. About how old? About 12.
12.
Yeah.
12? Really?
So
No, 12.
So we've got the kids. I want to make sure that you understand this because it's central to the story. So the kids are on the boat. Where's her mother gone, and what's her mother's and what is their mother's intention?
Make sure that's it.
If you read the first sentence, what does the first sentence say? Read it aloud.
We won't be long, and the use take the battery still uncharged.
So who's we, do you think?
The kids?
No.
Dad and mom.
The dad and mum. We won't be long. So they're in a dinghy and the kids are on the boat. So for some reason the mum and dad are going where in the dinghy? Where would they be going? You've already told me.
Oh, to the shore.
Back to the shore. Yeah, so they're going back to the island. The kids are still on the boat. The parents aren't worried about leaving the kids on the boat. Why not? Why aren't they worried about leaving the kids on the boat?
Maybe because they had a lot of experience.
Maybe.
Maybe they know that they're going to be safe.
Yeah. The other clue in the first sentence, going back to the first sentence.
Or because they won't be long.
They won't be long. So they've taken the dinghy for some reason to go back to the island. What might they be going back for? We don't know, but what would be a sensible guess?
Maybe they forgot something.
Maybe they forgot something, maybe they're going back to get something. So they don't intend to be long and they're going to come back to the kids. It's the family's last night. And what are the kids going to do while they wait for their parents? Now, I think I'm going to come here. I'm making some inferences here. I think the kids are quite used to playing cards, and they do it quite often. What might the evidence be over here? So we think something, we have evidence. What might the evidence be that they used to play
Jeremy
cards?
says, I still haven't beaten you yet.
Right, so Jeremy says, I still haven't beaten you yet.
And then it says Christy replied expertly shuffling a pack of cards and laying them out.
Yes. So Christy is an expert card shuffler, which you can only be if you practice cards a lot. Right, turn the page. Now I'll get you to read pages 6 and 7 because here we start to get a complication introduced following our narrative patterns. And I'm going to ask you what the complication is. Turning books back. What's the complication? What happens at this point, Isha?
The bigger boat hits their mooring point.
It hits the... So what does that do to their boat?
It just stumbles, it just...
Right? What happens to the
pushes
boat?
them off and they hit something that made the engine turn on.
Where does it say that, right?
This is the... Oh.
You want to read that again? So you changed your mind about that one. So what happens?
The fishing boat
Yes.
crashes onto them,
Yeah.
and then the boat starts like shaking, but they didn't notice it because they were very concentrated in the card game.
That's right. They noticed that when it hit it actually
Oh, yeah.
hits the mooring buoy, so it doesn't hit the boat, but it does bump here. So it bumps them here. And it hasn't been a major collision, but it has been enough to rock their boat. What does the fishing boat do at that point? It checks they check with the kids, and then what do they decide to do? The fishing boat. What does the fishing boat do?
Oh, so
Last sentence.
the fishing boat headed out to the bay. Yeah.
So the kids are still on the boat. They've had a bit of a fright. Let's keep going. So we've got, that's the end of chapter 1, and chapter 2 is adrift. Do you know what the word adrift means?
Going, drifting out of a place, so that's slowly going away.
Yes. So it's drifting, endlessly drifting. So the kids have had quite a fright. Read page 8 to yourself, just page 8. So there's a little problem. What's the little problem that's introduced on page 8?
The lighthouse seems farther.
So the lighthouse seems to be getting further away. What does that mean?
That means they're moving away.
So their boat's moving away. Read page 9 to yourself. So the problem gets bigger. What's the problem that gets bigger at this point?
The fishing boat cut their mooring line.
Yeah, so the fishing boats cut the mooring line. When it didn't bump into the boat, but it did cut the line. So what's their big problem now?
Now they're floating away and they have to.
That's right, so they're floating away. They're on the boat on their own. I'm going to bring you back to page 8, to the first paragraph. "We'd better stay on deck," said Christy, who was still shaken. "Mum and Dad won't be long and we can shine the flashlight on the mast when we hear them coming." How would that help Mum and Dad if they shone a flashlight, a torch onto the mast?
Well, it would be like a lighthouse, so they can know where they are.
Yes, so the parents would know where they are because at this point it's set at night. Turn the page. Just turn the book over for a moment. If it was you and you were on a drifting boat, what would you do at this point?
A lot of experience.
Yeah.
Maybe we would start because we know what to do because we've had a lot of experience. So maybe we could try to turn the boat around.
Okay, so you could try, knowing that you'd have the expertise to turn the boat around.
If I was on the boat myself, I would try to figure out how to get back. Maybe I would.
Okay.
But if I was with someone else, like for example my cousin, she goes for sailing competitions.
Right.
She would help me
Yeah.
get the boat back.
So she would know. So they do have a problem, but we know that they're going to try and get it back. Okay, read page 10 to yourself and then stop. Oh no, says Gabe. Oh, says Gabe. And then if you want to, read page 11.
What's a jib?
The jib is here. So they're going to try. Well, let's just stop for a point. Just stop for a little bit there. What's the first thing Christy tries?
The engine.
Very sensible. She tries the engine, but there's a problem with the engine. What's the problem? Battery's no good. So the battery doesn't work. The engine doesn't go. So the next thing that they try, what would be the next thing that they would try, knowing that they have an engine that didn't go?
The sail.
The sails. So they're going to try and get the sails up to try and catch the wind to turn around and get back in. What's the problem though? That in the beginning Jeremy's not too worried, but Christy has noticed something that he hasn't noticed.
The outer reef.
Yes, the outer reef. So she's not taking anything for granted. She realised that there is a further danger out because they're heading towards the outer reef. They're heading towards the wider sea. What could you say if you were thinking about their characters and you were thinking about an inference you might make about their characters? What would you say about Christy based on what you've seen so far?
Like, she doesn't really, I think that she's always more, scared than her brother, and his brother's more
Confident.
yes, and he's always noticing things.
All right, so you think the brother might be more confident. What's something good that you could say about Christy? One of her strengths?
Sharp eye.
She has a sharp eye. What else?
She knows what's coming. Like when Jeremy said, "I'll get the jib," Christy was like, "Number 3 will do." So she knows which one will do. Yeah, she's smart.
So she's, I think she's quite a strong character because as soon as she sees there's a problem, the first thing she does is try something sensible, which is the engine. She says, "I'll try the engine." She doesn't wait for her brother to do it. She gets in and she does it herself.
Yes.
So we haven't seen so much about her brother. We've seen a little bit. We haven't seen so much about Jeremy, but we've seen a bit about Christy. Turn the page and have a look at page 12. I just want to talk to you about the vocab on page 12. So just read page 12 to yourself.
Okay, so something will start to go away. What are you looking for? It might still be being he's got that one, we're going to need one. Okay, so what do you need to take to video or
Have a look at what you're waiting. Have a look at these words: hoist and haul and snaked. So I'm going to ask you. So you've all finished page 12.
Yes.
Hoist, the word hoist. Okay, hoist away came Christy's call. Do you know what hoist means?
I know what it is, but means, but I can't put it into words.
What might it mean here if they're talking about a sail?
Like.
And your next sentence gives you a clue.
Um,
What would you say, Ray?
like he's putting the sail up. After
Yes. What kind of movement? If you look at the first sentence, okay, hoist away came Christy's call. Jeremy hauled swiftly on the road.
Help or like pull.
Pulled. Yeah, it's
Like
pull.
really hard.
So it's a really pull. That's right. It's a really pull, strong movement. Good. Now, Mike Lefroy has chosen to use the word snaked here when he's describing the movement of the sail. The flapping sail snaked upwards. Why do you think he used the word snaked?
It's slithered up.
So slithered up.
And it went up really smoothly, right?
Right, and so it's a smooth, like slithering, rising the sail.
And it also did. I was thinking that if it let go, it would go up, but in curvy movements.
Yes.
Like a snake.
Yeah. And we've got another good verb here. We've got Christy was now at the tiller, her eyes darting from the darkness in front of them to the flapping sail above. Darting. What kind of a movement is darting?
Like sprinting.
Yes, but it's talking here about her eyes. That's right. So
Like
Really
what does it
fast?
mean in this context? Her eyes are darting from the darkness to the sail above.
Like you know when you throw a dart, it is sharp and it
Yes.
like goes really quickly.
Yep, sharp
So
and
her
quick.
Eyes went like sharp and quick to this.
So show me what you think. Let's imagine that this is the sail here, and her eyes are darting from the darkness in front of them to the flapping sail above her. So show me what kind of movement do you think it is? Yeah. Yeah. So she's quickly checking it, because that's what Ray's doing. She's just doing this quick eye movement. Because we've talked about choosing strong verbs in our writing. We've talked about precise nouns and originality and choosing the adjectives. But one of the things that makes our writing really, really powerful is the choice of verbs. So he's actually chosen some really strong verbs here. He's used hauled instead of pulled. He's used snaked instead of went up. And instead of saying she looked quickly from the darkness in front to the flapping sail above, he's used the word her eyes darting. So good choice of strong verbs. Read to yourself page 13, because we need to talk about what tacking is in sailing. So what are you thinking, Gabe? You're going,
Well, it says here that she was. Well, it's saying here that. Wait, is everyone finished? Okay. It says here that even if Jeremy was half an hour older than Christy, Christy was always the one who took control. Maybe it's because she was a good problem solver, and she always reacted when something happened.
And she has quick reactions.
so she
She
has
knows
quick
what to do.
reactions, she's quite definite, she makes decisions, she's quite a capable person. So that's all good evidence. I just thought I'd show you here, this is the winch. I think this is the winch here. It's like when you wind, because it would be too hard to wind the sail themselves. So the winch is like a lever and wound in the jib sheet. So he's tightening it up, he's tightening the sail so that they can go a bit faster. Now, Christy says we'll head away from the reef for a bit and then try to tack into shore. When you're on a boat and you want to go in a certain direction, sometimes because of the wind you can't go to exactly in the line that you want to go. If you're lucky you can, but sometimes you can't. And you have to tack. Tack is like zigzag. And that's, you would have seen probably on films or TVs, that's when the boom swings over and the turn, they use the tiller to turn the boat and try and catch the wind. But it means it's a bit slower, so you have to go like this as far as you can and then you have to do it again. And the wind catches the sail on a different angle. So tacking is changing the angle so that you can catch the wind. So they can sail out easily out because that's the way the wind's blowing, but they're going to have to turn around to come back in and it's going to be a bit slower. Now, who says that? Who's the one who comes up with the idea of tacking? Christy. So that adds more evidence to your ideas that she's quite a strong personality. She does know what she's doing. Can you see those three little stars there underneath the text? Can you see there, three little stars? It's almost like a scene in a movie because it's kind of saying, well, we're just going to take the focus off the kids for a moment and we're going to change, almost like changing the setting. So let's have a look. And we've got two people in a dinghy, still part of the chapter. So who's this in the dinghy?
The parents.
The parents are in the dinghy. So I'll get you to read chapter 14, because it's just this little bits to do with the parents, so we'll talk about that first. Chapter, page 14, yeah. No, just read page 14 for now, because we're just going to make a link. Oh, you're going, oh! So the parents have done their thing on the island. What are they trying to find now? They've come back to get on the boat, and what have they realised?
There's no boat.
No boat. How do they know that it's their boat that's missing? Because they know for sure.
The boy, it's another boat. That's their boat.
They know that's their boy. So how do we know from the text that we could assume that the parents are worried, but how do we know for sure? What's the evidence that the dad in particular is very worried?
Sure is, where are they, said Richard? There was a sudden urgency in his voice.
So urgency in his voice, and he quickened his stroke. So that's the evidence that we have that he's starting to get worried. And so he should. Let's read page 15. So just read page 15 to yourself. We're back to the kids now. So we've got those three little stars. Oh no, says Isha. What's the oh no?
It's the other page.
Ah. Well, let's have a look at page 15. So what are your responses here? What are you thinking as you read page 15?
It's jammed. The main sales jammed.
You think the main sail's jammed? Possibly.
I think that when they go faster, they won't be able to turn as swiftly.
You're thinking ahead. How are the twins feeling at this point? Because you three are thinking ahead and going, oh no. If we just look at the evidence on the page, how are the twins feeling at this point in the story?
Confident.
Yeah, they're confident, they're quite enjoying the speed, they're not imagining that anything's going to go wrong. Let's turn over, page 16.
Did you read it?
Yeah.
Misha.
And stop at the bottom of page 16.
Until the stars?
All the way down, because I'll ask you about the second thing. Oh dear.
What's a Lee? I never heard of that.
Lee. The Lee is a quiet calm.
Oh.
Where is the Lee? Well, that's at the bottom of the page. They'll be out of the lee of the island any minute, so that they'll be out of the protection of the island. At the moment it's fairly calm, but when they get out into the open sea, the wind's really going to pick up and the waves get choppier.
I thought it was the Lee, like in the Dragon Keep,
Yeah.
the distance.
Oh, no, it's spelled differently. Yeah, not distance, but shelter. So as you're reading, you're all going, what's the problem? Here.
The mainsail is jammed, and they're trying to put it up.
And but
The-
then
The gust of wind caught them and the boat heeled violently. What do you think heeled might mean, or do you know what it means?
maybe turned on an
Like,
Yes.
like I was thinking of like your heel.
What? Show me with your heel.
Like this.
Could go like that. Yep. Ray's right. It's tip over. It's tip over onto its side. If you actually look at the illustration that's beside it, that's the boat is heeling over. So they have to pull tighter on the sails so that they don't flop over altogether and capsize. So they need to pull tighter on the sails to get that wind in the sails to pull it up straight. So they've got a problem. The sails are stuck, but they want to, what's their solution? They know they've got a problem, but what's the solution?
If they tack it, then the thing that's jamming it would probably blow it free.
So that was Christy who suggested that. So there's some more evidence for Christy being quite a good problem solver.
That was fast.
It was. Now we have the 3 stars, so then we flick back to who? Parents. Now, what are they thinking at this point?
What are they doing? They're
Yes.
scared.
I'm just like, what?
What are they doing?
We're never gonna catch up to them. They're
Yes.
gonna get out of the protection.
Yes. So they're really worried. We'll just have a look at this page of chapter 17, page 17 of chapter 3, because I want to talk to you about the vocab, and then we'll stop. So that will just take us past this little problem they're facing. So some predictions here. So what's the problem here?
I don't think they're going to get back to the ship.
So they're going to have trouble getting back.
They're gonna get out of the protection of the island.
They're already out.
Yes,
It
so
says
what's the evidence for that?
the boat was now plunging into a choppy sea, and
Yes.
the building wind,
And
which were combining to bear them slowly away from the island.
indeed. I just wanted to talk to you about the verbs in this paragraph, because I think this is actually the second paragraph here from Christy McGrath and Mainsail On. There are some strong verbs. What are some of the strong verbs that Mike Lefroy uses?
Is choppy a verb?
Choppy's an adjective here. It's the doing. Verb is doing words. So Christy grabbed, wrestled the sail, lashed it to the boom. Yes, the boat was now
Punching.
into a choppy sea. So we've got some really nice examples of how he's used those strong verbs. Why do you think he's done that? Why do you think he's chosen that vocal?
To exaggerate the situation.
Because?
Tell them that it's like really, really like intense.
Intense, yes. So to increase the intensity for you, the reader, and I think it must have worked because you went, oh no. I think we'll have to stop here, so we'll come back to this when we can next get to it, so we'll come back to it tomorrow. But what would your predictions be? We're halfway through the book. Predictions?
They're not gonna get back. They'll have to get to a new island.
Who go to a new island?
I think they might get back because that's usually like how books are.
Yep.
Like you can
Yeah.
always predict that. But then they're gonna have like a really big twist near the end.
Right? Okay, Gabe?
Well, it could be possible that they're drifting to the island, and then maybe when they get near the island, they can like turn and then get back. Something's gonna happen. Something's definitely gonna happen.
Something definitely will happen.
I'm already leaning to Ray's side because that never happens in books. Most of the time, for these type of books, it's normally they get back to their parents, they're all safe.
Yes.
It's normally for like bigger, thicker books and like more. You know, if they elaborated more on this book, it would go to a different ending. I think.
Yes. So you think there'll be a good ending, but you know that something else is going to happen.
Yeah.
There's a part sea rescue, so I think they're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out. Or I
There's
might
gonna
I
be
might
like
just let you finish it in your own time and then we'll come back together and you can
So
share.
do we put it in there?
Yeah, put in your reading books and see how that would good. Perfect.